This is your girl, El Shaddai, with the news as it happens. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Let's get into what is going on between the U.S., Saudi Arabia, Iran, everything else involved. This is a bigger story than it is really being let out. And I'm sure we have to use our discernment because not all the news is true. We have to read between the lines. We have to relate this to biblical prophecy. What is going on? I am going to recommend that you open up your browser, go into YouTube, and please redo the study from Shepherd's Chapel, the Kings of the East, and the Swarmers video. I am telling you this because this is going along with what is happening now with the Kings of the East. Are we getting ready to head into the tribulation? I don't know. Don't get your pants or your choners in a bunch. I am not. Did not say this is happening today, tomorrow, the next month. I am saying it is looking like we are heading in that direction. I am saying set your watches. I am saying watch. I am saying we are headed into something. Could it be a one world system? Could this be why people will be crying, peace, peace, peace? Let's get into the news. Let's see what's going on without any further delay.
Evers in Washington for the latest on President Trump's response to those attacks in Saudi Arabia. Eamon.
Yeah, Joe, the president signaled in some tweets over the weekend that the U.S. might be readying some kind of response to what we saw over the weekend. The U.S. Not officially making any attributions here as to who conducted this attack in Saudi Arabia that impacted their oil capacity there. But the president also tweeting out this morning, reminding Americans that the United States is not as dependent on Saudi oil as it once was, saying because we have done so well with energy over the last few years, thank you, Mr. President, we are a net energy exporter and now the #1 energy producer in the world. We don't need Middle Eastern oil and gas, and in fact, we have very few tankers there, but will help our allies. Not clear what form that help will take. We do know that key administration figures were at the White House yesterday for a meeting that was apparently in response to all of this, and we do have this tweet from the Secretary of State, Mike Pompeo, who went a lot further than the President of the United States in attributing exactly who conducted this attack, saying Tehran is behind nearly 100 attacks on Saudi Arabia, while Rouhani and Zarif pretend to engage in diplomacy. Amid all the calls for de-escalation, Iran has now launched an unprecedented attack on the world's energy supply. There is no evidence the attacks came from Yemen. So from the Secretary of State, at least, it's clear that he believes this attack was conducted by Iran. We'll see what the president has to say later on in the day and what form, if any, the U.S. response here is going to be, Joe.
All right, let's also go in and read this article here. So after the president had tweeted out that the U.S. is locked and loaded, now, because Iran says if you attack us, we will bring war on a scale never seen before, we will attack the United States. Now, U.S. dials back Iran rhetoric and seeks peaceful resolution over Saudi attack. Wow, that switched overnight, did it not? The U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo has said Washington and its allies were seeking peaceful resolution with Iran. Nothing with Iran can ever be peaceful. Hello? I mean, let's really think about this. These people are just violent, horrible. They want war. They have been trying to provoke the United States since they shot down that drone. And President Trump just, he didn't do nothing about it. Like, whatever, okay, we're not going to be pushed. Now they're pushing it to a point of what is said to be an Iranian attack upon Saudi Arabia's oil reserve or facility. Okay, so let's get back to this article. So they are seeking a peaceful resolution now with Iran in the wake of the attack on Saudi oil facilities, making clear that Washington would limit its initial response to further sanctions. Okay, Trump's going back and forth on this. One minute he says we're locked and loaded, he's going to attack. Next minute he says he's going to increase sanctions. Next minute he says, okay, we're not going to do this. I mean, this is kind of, going back and forth here. I think his locked and loaded comment he made was definite epic fail. So, Pompeo's remarks made on his return trip to Washington after visits to Saudi Arabia and the United Arab Emirates mark a significant cooling of the rhetoric after Donald Trump had warned the U.S. was locked and loaded. And Pompeo said the attack, which he blamed on Iran, was an act of war. It is an act of war. That is an act of war. I mean, what are you guys doing? This is just ridiculous. One minute you're saying one thing, the next day you're saying another. I mean, let's get crap straight here. Let's go into a couple more news clips here to see exactly what is going on. And let's not get our choners in a bunch because this is CNN. This is okay. Use your brain. Okay, we're here to look at what's going on. We're here to use discernment. Let's just take a peek at what is going on.
Next to his new national security advisor, President Trump still stopping short of military action against Iran for its alleged attack on Saudi oil facilities.
We're really at a point now where we know very much what happened.
Secretary of State Mike Pompeo, shortly before landing in Saudi Arabia for talks with Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, told reporters that the strikes on Saudi oil facilities were an Iranian attack on an unprecedented scale, calling it an act of war.
There were no Americans killed in this attack, but anytime you have an act of war of this nature, there's always risk that that could happen.
However, Pompeo did not provide details definitively showing the attack was launched from inside Iran.
You can see of the debris.
Today, Saudi defense officials showing the world remnants of what they say are alleged Iranian missiles and drones used in the massive attack that disrupted world oil markets. Iran denies involvement, but the Saudis insist the weapons are of Iranian origin.
The attack was launched from the north and was unquestionably sponsored by Iran.
While via Twitter, President Trump announcing he is imposing more sanctions. The Pentagon has been told to ensure plans for military options are up to date, but there is no indication of imminent U.S. military action. Several officials telling CNN any strikes would have to be a coalition effort.
Thank you very much.
And President Trump wants the Saudis involved.
And we're looking at those issues now and getting briefed up.
What to do next about Iran may be front and center for Robert O'Brien, the U.S. hostage negotiator Trump named as his new national security advisor.
He did a tremendous job on hostage negotiation, really tremendous, like unparalleled. We've had tremendous success in that regard.
One senior White House official says it shows Trump wants a consensus builder, not a showboater, a dig perhaps at predecessor John Bolton, a well-known hawk.
A peace restraint posture that'll keep the American people safe from the many challenges around the world today.
All right, so let's go into seeing. We seem like we have a little buffer going on here. What Iran foreign minister says about this, and I'm hoping we get this playing. I'm sure it might take a minute here, and obviously probably play a slight commercial while it's doing that. I just want to remind folks that this could be something that was pre-set up. Don't forget, you have the Israeli elections still going on, and you have to think about, as I was talking to my girl, Olive Branch, that this could be, I'm going to pause this right here, this could be something that's planned. You have Israel elections, like I said, Gantz, Netanyahu, and Lieberman are talking about a possible uniting. Okay, this is kind of like a peace kind of focus here. Let's just keep the peace. Let's make this unity. Then you have Iran attacking, supposedly is what they're saying, the Saudi oil. You have Trump saying we're locked and loaded. This will be an all-out war. This all is happening at the same time. Is this what makes the world cry peace, peace, peace? That we are going to go into a full-blown war? I don't know. Wars and rumors of wars. You just got to keep your eyes open. Let's go to this news clip and hear what the Iran foreign minister says.
Would, frankly, they've called it an act of war. They've said that you have fired missiles from your sovereign territory and the sovereign territory of another state.
That's a lie.
Understood. They've accused you of that none the same. These would normally, one might expect, result in some kind of military retaliation. Do you believe Donald Trump is gun-shy?
No. I believe that he has been the subject of an attempt many times to drag the United States into a war, and he has refused. And in spite of the fact that I disagree with many of his policies, I think this is a prudent decision. But it doesn't mean that somebody is gun-shy in order to avoid starting a war based on a lie.
As you've said yourself, the risk potentially is all-out war if this escalated. So, under what circumstances? President Trump has said that he might negotiate, he vacillates on conditions, but under what circumstances would you or the government of Iran be willing to start negotiations
Well, we
again?
did not leave the negotiating table. There is a negotiating table.
What a load of crap.
That is there. The United States is welcome to come back to that negotiation.
What do they do to have to get back to that table?
Well, they have to respect their signature.
Okay, I'm going to pause this right here because the reason why Iran is throwing a fit is because Trump canceled the peace talks because they won't stop killing people. They did this. They're throwing a fit. They're lying. These are most likely your Kenites. This is a load of crap. He's lying through his teeth.
So they have to go back into the nuclear deal to begin negotiating again?
Because leaving that nuclear deal was not a lawful act, because that deal is not a deal between Iran and President Obama, is not a deal between Iran and the United States. It's a Security Council resolution.
In the immediate days ahead, where you yourself say there is a risk of all-out war, what are you willing to do in terms of negotiation? What does the United States have to do to get to talk to Iran?
We're willing to talk to our neighbors.
Your neighbors?
Yeah.
Which means Iraq, Afghanistan?
Saudi Arabia,
right.
Emirates.
But not to the United States directly?
We don't see any reason.
Okay. Apart from the fact that they've declared an act of war by you?
Well, it wasn't an act of war against the United States, and it was, as I said, an agitation for war because it's based on a lie.
If they dropped some
Okay, he just
sanctions,
said this
would that
was
encourage you to
agitation for war. He's talking through his teeth. He just said, we're willing to have the U.S. come back to the table, and then he just said, we see no reason for it. He is talking out his rear end. I'm telling you, listen to what he's saying.
speak?
No.
So even if all sanctions are lifted tomorrow, there would still be no negotiations?
If they lift the sanctions that they reimpose illegally, then that's a different situation.
You would then talk?
Then we would consider it.
Or would you do it? Because they would be going a very long mile to lift those sanctions.
If they drop all the sanctions that they have imposed, then it's a different story.
Donald Trump threatened yesterday he said he would impose substantial new sanctions against Iran. What is left in Iran for the United States to target? You personally have been sanctioned. What is left in Iran to be hit?
I don't know what. They've done whatever they could.
Yeah.
And they haven't been able to bring us to our knees.
So it's an empty threat?
I don't know. I mean, I don't want to use that terminology. No, they can hurt Iranian people.
Well,
they have
because he
been
doesn't want
hurting
to tell the
Iranian people.
truth.
They're lying if they tell you that food and medicine is not restricted.
You are supposed to be going to New York imminently for the United
He is just full
Nations General Assembly. Have you received visas, and
No.
do you think you should travel?
Well, I think I have a right as the foreign minister of Iran. That is not my personal right, but Iran has a right to be represented at the United Nations during the General Assembly at whatever level it wants to. The United States has imposed restrictions on our staff in New York which are inhuman. They cannot even send their kids to school. They just denied waivers for our staff members to send
And now he's going into a pity party.
their kids to school in New York. These are acts of childish animosity. Now,
Oh,
they
who's
haven't
being
issued visas
childish
for
here?
the advanced team of our president. That makes it very difficult for him to go.
Too late?
Well, I'm not saying too late, but it's very near to being too late.
Do you see any merit in going?
Well, I mean, I see no merit in going to the United States, but this is not the United States.
All right, so enough of him. I'm just saying we need to keep our eyes open on this and we need to watch Israel. Could there be a possible attack on Israel to force this unity of Gantz, Lieberman, and Netanyahu? I don't know. Things are definitely heating up. We've got a lot going on here, guys, and it is time for us to really do a double watch here. Will we have a war? Will we not? What is Iran going to do? What is the United States going to do? Trump says one thing one day, says something the next. I don't know what's going on. I'm just saying, watchmen, watch. This is Amber. This is El Shaddai with the news as it happens. I'm out.